CAF is an embarrassment. That's it. I'm of African heritage. I know about the African Cup of Nations. I've watched it as a kid growing up, and I know players who I've played against who've played in it, you know, top world-class players. When you look at the whole situation, everything, it's an embarrassment.
Welcome back to Champions Club presented by Heineken. We're going to turn our attentions away from the Champions League for just a second to a massive story just breaking in the world of football concerning AFCON. Morocco have been awarded the title of winning AFCON 2025 after this appeal. I can read the statement that's been released by CAF here. The CAF Appeal Board decided that in application of Article 84 of the regulations of the Africa Cup of Nations, the Senegal national team is declared to have forfeited the final match of the Africa Cup of Nations 2025, with the result of the match being recorded as 3-0 in favour of Morocco. It is a crazy story that's caught us all by surprise. For the latest, let's cross now to Stamford Bridge and speak to Mimi Fawaz, who's our African football correspondent. She was covering AFCON a couple of months ago. You're covering the Champions League game tonight, Mimi. You thought you could focus on that. This news has now broken. Give us your initial reaction to it. An unbelievable story.
Yeah, definitely an unbelievable story. As you said, I was here watching the Champions League match between Chelsea and PSG, and I just looked at my phone and I saw in the CAF group, they've got a WhatsApp group for us journalists, where they dropped a statement where the news was breaking that they had basically overturned the decision, and Morocco are now being awarded the AFCON trophy from earlier this year in January, and Senegal had forfeited the Africa Cup of Nations trophy. Of course, we know the scenes that we saw, those controversial scenes, very dramatic scenes in the final where Senegal came off the pitch. It took about 17 minutes or so before they came back on the pitch when Sadio Mane asked them to come onto the pitch. And then we saw Brahim Diaz getting that Panenka penalty that was saved. And then we saw Pape Gueye scoring the winner in extra time. So it was amazing to look down at my phone as I'm watching the Champions League match and that statement dropped from CAF.
Mimi, in all your years of covering the African Cup of Nations, have you ever witnessed a scenario like this or seen something like this play the way it has?
No, I've covered 5 Africa Cup of Nations, and even in recent times, I don't recall such a situation ever happening where a team has been awarded the Africa Cup of Nations and almost 3 months down the line, it's been overturned and it's been given to another team. So for me, this is unprecedented times that we're seeing. And I'm seeing lots of reaction as well on social media from African football fans. It's been divided. Some are happy with the result. Others are shocked that the decision was overturned and Senegal was seen as forfeiting the Africa Cup of Nations final. So as I said, in the 5 Africa Cup of Nations that I've covered, I've never experienced a situation where a team has been awarded the trophy and then it's been overturned and given to another team.
Mimi, two questions. One, can now Senegal appeal the appeal? Can they have a process, and will that, how long roughly will that take? I know you're just coming out of Chelsea, so I don't expect you to have all of the answers. And then secondly, did you get to bump into like Hakimi and see what he felt? Because I feel that, you know, with sport, when sport's decided in the court, it doesn't really feel like you've won it. It kind of feels like you've been awarded it.
I was expecting difficult questions from you, so I'm breathing a sigh of relief.
I'm being nice today.
You're being nice today from your 2 questions. Firstly, I would say, what was the first one you said? I've already forgotten your first question.
Can Senegal appeal the appeal?
Yes, Senegal can definitely appeal it. I was looking to try and see if there's been a statement from Senegal. They haven't reacted yet to that. I'm expecting them to react to it. It can go all the way to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. So we'll have to wait and see if Senegal are going to go all the way and contest this being overturned. And of course, the second question that you asked me, I guess I could say, is what was the second question?
Hakimi, have you bumped into him? And how do they, you know, because people don't... As athletes, you want to win it. You don't want it to be awarded to you. So if you did bump into him, how does he feel about it was kind of the question.
I did bump into Achraf Hakimi. We were positioned right there in the mix zone as he was passing by. You can imagine he had his hood on, he had headphones on, but I was still able to shout across to him as he walked to the bus to ask him what is his reaction to the announcement. I'm sure he's seen it. The announcement was made whilst he was playing the match, but no doubt when he came out, he would have seen in the locker room all the reactions on social media. All he did, Troy, was smile at me and he kept moving. So I guess he must be a very happy person tonight.
Mimi, Obviously, Africa as a continent has always had a stigma against it in certain things. And when you look at how this has played out and been handled by CAF, how much of an embarrassment is this to CAF and African football as a whole?
You know, this AFCON, Africa Cup of Nations, there's always a big debate about the Africa Cup of Nations. But what I'm going to say is the Africa Cup of Nations is huge at the moment. It's grown so much over the years that I've covered it. Yes, this is a tarnish against the Africa Cup of Nations. It was so controversial, this final, that many people were talking about it. I'm sure for CAF, they would like people to put it behind them and move on ahead and not have it tarnish the image of AFCON. Because let's be honest, the game has grown so much. There's so many top talents, African players playing all across Europe. Nobody wants to see the Africa Cup of Nations having this negative image. So I'm sure CAF will be hoping that people putting that behind them. I did try and get a reaction from them just before coming on air, but I haven't heard anything further from them.
You mentioned Hakimi there, Mimi, and some of the other Morocco players that are involved in these big games in the Champions League. He didn't want to react to it, maybe doesn't know the full story just yet, and will obviously get up to speed with that in the next couple of hours. But do you think there is a sense that they will accept it? Will they come out and say, OK, yeah, we were the winners and celebrate the fact that they've won AFCON? Or are they just going to keep quiet and sort of move on and hopefully it gets forgotten?
For the fans, I'm sure they're very happy about it and they'll be celebrating, because I have seen some of the comments already on social media, and the Moroccan fans are happy with this decision. For the players, who knows? It could be a bit different. As I said, it was very controversial, the Africa Cup of Nations final. Brahim Diaz, as we saw, that Panenka, that was saved by Edouard Mendy. There was lots surrounding the Africa Cup of Nations with the Senegalese fans trying to come on the pitch. There was with the riot police, there was a bit of clashes over there. So for the players, I think it might be maybe overshadowed a little bit just because of how things have developed over the past few months. And it's taken 3 months for this decision to be made as well.
Mimi, I'll talk about the embarrassment of CAF and AFCON and everything that's been going on. And like you said, it's a stain that's definitely not needed from the footballing side standpoint. But also now we talk about the women's AFCON that was supposed to come up. Can you tell us more on what's happened with that, on top of what we've just had to deal with, the news that's come out today?
Yeah, lots of fans were not happy in terms of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations being postponed again, and it looks that it's going to be postponed in the summer. That's what CAF has said, and it's coming a week just after the Men's World Cup is going to be taking place. A lot of the women's teams were already in camp training all across the world, and the announcement was made by CAF that it was going to be postponed 12 days before the competition was meant to be held. So some of the players came out very unhappy, condemning CAF that not enough respect is being given to the women's game. They were not happy at all by that decision, especially as there was so much ambiguity. Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Because there were rumors, South Africa saying that they would step in if Morocco were going to pull out from the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. So it's something that's not been gone down too well.
Mimi, fabulous insight. We'll let you get back to the day job, really, and back to Chelsea against PSG, because I'm sure you've got some interviews to do. But thanks so much for coming on Champions Club and giving us that explanation of what happened at AFCON. We'll speak to you very, very soon, I'm sure. If this happened in a competition that you played in, Grella, and I'll come to all three of you, how would you feel as a player if you'd been awarded the winner when you didn't actually win the game?
In all honesty, I wouldn't want it. I think we play sport, we watch sport. You tell your kids to go play sport because about teamwork, about the sacrifice, discipline, showing up on time, winning it on the pitch, the ups and downs of the game. You wouldn't teach your son to say, hey, after the game, if they broke any rules, let's go and complain and we try to win it that way, So I, personally, as a player, I wouldn't want it. I mean, can you imagine Hakimi today? He just went through to the quarterfinal of the Champions League, and the Moroccan lawyers just won him another trophy. He's winning one trophy with playing, and another trophy in the courts. It definitely rubs you the wrong way.
We asked the viewers, was the AFCON appeal justified, as you can see there, and unequivocally, 28%, only 28% said yes, 72% saying no, and echoing that sentiment. The
bigger point is this: CAF is an embarrassment. That's it. I'm of African heritage. I know about the African Cup of Nations. I've watched it as a kid growing up, and I know players who I've played against who've played in it, top world-class players. When you look at the whole situation, everything, it's an embarrassment. There's always been a stigma against the continent Africa and African football, and we've had conversations about AFCON not being taken serious for many years, and it's a tournament that seems to be a thorn to some European managers who have come out and publicly said that they might not sign African players because they don't want to lose them for the January window. There's been other players, other managers, top managers who've made comments about African Cup of Nations and being a burden to them as a manager. For me now, when you look at this situation right now, it's an absolute embarrassment for CAF. It's another reason where people will talk down on this competition and look down on it and have this negative stigma attached to it. And I'll tell you this now, there's not one Morocco player, being an ex-player now, that would want to win like that. It might not have gone down the nicest way in how the final played out. It was an embarrassment how the final played out. But even though it was given to Senegal, Senegal won the game, there's not one Morocco player that would want to win in this manner now to say, oh, you are now champions. Because not one player would look at himself in the mirror and will be happy being handed that as basically a participation trophy. But the bigger picture is, for me, is CAF is embarrassing. They've embarrassed themselves for the world and the global football to see again, and gives an opportunity to other footballing federations around the world to laugh at CAF and laugh at African Cup of Nations and laugh at Africa as a continent because of how this whole situation has been handled.
And Troy, it's a shame, isn't it, given and you played with many of them, the great players that have come from Africa, the great teams that we've seen. I mean, I love watching AFCON. We did it a lot in scoreline this season. It's a fabulous competition when it comes to the games on the pitch, but there always seems to be this chaos off it. Yeah,
and I think to echo what Nigel's saying as well, Mimi's talking there that the women's competition then gets pushed back 12 days beforehand. It is hard to always try and justify how great of a competition it is when you keep having, unfortunately, sideshows like this happen. Again, was unsavoury. There's so many ripple effects to this. Sadio Mane was lauded and applauded for bringing players back on the pitch, getting on with it, winning the game on there, and that was probably his last AFCON, and the way that he's remembered now was about winning that game and the way he conducted himself. That's all gone. At history books, that's all gone now. It's finished. It never happened. And then to lose 3-0 in a game, and then the unsavoury scenes. I echo everything that Nigel says. I just think now CAF has to really take a look at itself. Always seems to be some form of stupidity around it. And again, even for Morocco, like, to then go to the courts and appeal it, to win it that way. Now we're going to have to wait for Senegal to appeal the appeal. It's just, when does this end?
100%.
8 months' time? 9 months' time?
I was going to say, this is going to be a story that runs and runs.
And again, the fans would love it. No problem, Morocco fans can be happy. But for a footballing standpoint where we've been, none of us here could say we'd love to win like that. I guarantee you, and for the top stars that Morocco have, not one of them will be savouring this to say, yeah, we are African Cup of Nations champions.
My best friend is Moroccan. He's texting the break, like, this is how we want to win it. So, you know, it don't have to be, it's not my opinion, it's not Troy having this. My friend is Moroccan, he's from Morocco, went to the games. He doesn't want to win it like this.
No. And I don't think this is going to be the last time we speak about this over the coming few days. There will be a lot of fallout.